Okay, so this video is going to be about the one of the questions I got in my group. If you're on Facebook, you can join my Facebook group, How to Stop Attracting Narcissists for Women Only. Sorry, laugh out loud, but it's for women only. That's my kind, and I have to help my kind. So, but you can join that. Group members get special discounts and shit, and updates on things. And also, if you're in the group, you get to choose topics for videos and stuff like that. So, joining the group is, has its perks. So I got in the group and I said, what do y'all want to see for topics in upcoming videos or questions answered, whatever. And Sherry Watson, shout out girl, you are top. You are absolutely top. Said, and I wrote it word for word. Since I can't see my screenshots on here while I'm live, I have to write it down so I can read it to you. She said, how do I remember the good, not spiral into thoughts and or the urge to check on them? To do this without forcing bad memories and the anger forward to stop myself. To peacefully let go, glean, that's a very good word, my wisdom, and move on in peace, sending love and light. This is the hardest fucking part for me. Thank you for helping us figure out the work. Thank you for thanking me for that. It's nice to hear that. Okay, so I'm going to do this one at a time. How do I remember the good? Okay, so you don't have to. You don't have to remember the good. If that's hard for you, then just don't worry about it. You don't, especially if you're talking about remembering the good in that person. You don't have to remember the good in that person for real. That's not trying to like see them in a certain light. You don't have to do that. That part can come later. When you figure yourself out, you'll be able to see them in a different light. But you got to figure yourself out first because you're still hurting from what they did to you. So you're not going to be able to get around that and like see them differently if you're still miserable over what they did because they did wrong. And until you fix that or heal that, you're still gonna see them in the light, in the way that they were when they hurt you. And it took me a long time, like several years, it took me to finally get past, emotionally and mentally, finally get past it, and to see them in a better light, or to see them more human, to humanize them. That it just takes a long time. It just takes a long time because you have to work out so much within yourself because of what they did. You have to figure out so much within yourself, and you have to work out so much within yourself, and you have to be kind to all the parts of yourself and practice that for a long time, because they weren't kind and you're having to like make up for it. It's like you're having to clean up their mess. And you can't be in the middle of cleaning up somebody else's mess when it's like that, when it's that bad, when the damage is that bad, and still tell yourself, okay, well, I'm just going to see you, as a better person. I'm just going to look for the good in you. Don't worry about it. Just don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Just focus on you. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. Because I wasn't able to look at any of them as humans until a lot of time went by, and I worked on myself and started to have some self-love and some self-respect for myself. And then once I was able to do that, and once I evened out, I was able to look at them and think, you know what, I mean, yeah, they were a loser, but it's whatever. They're just human. They don't know any better. They're working from their best angle and from their best level, and that's it. And so is everyone else. So that's how you can start to see them as human instead of just hating them, or if you're trying to look for the good, you don't necessarily have to look for the good. I wouldn't put that kind of pressure on yourself, not right now. Later on, that might come naturally at a time when it'll pop up for you naturally on its own, you know what I mean? But you don't have to try to figure out how to do that or force yourself to do that, to like be the better person or, be the higher minded person, whatever. You don't have to do that. You just look at you for now, because you're the one that you can fix, right? Not spiral into thoughts and or the urge to check on them. Okay, this is difficult because that right there was the hardest part for me, because I was always afraid of my physical safety And I felt like if I knew what they were doing, if I knew what he was doing and where he was and his whereabouts and who he was around and who he associated with, that I'd be safer because I'd be a step ahead, because I would know what he was up to. And this applies to, several. But the more information I had, especially that he didn't know I had, the safer I felt. And I thought, okay, if I need to, leave town, or if I need to run, or if I need to call the police or whatever, I've got this information, or I know where not to go because he frequents this place or what have you, whatever. It's a big fat mess is what it is. So I understand, the need to check. And also just like, and even if it's not about physical safety, because it's not always, but just like the need to know, just for peace of mind, because you're trying to like collect information to fill in the blanks from where you feel hard done by and where you feel, like you were done wrong by this person, because there were so many things there's so many gaps, there's so many holes in everything. And there's so many things that weren't right, and it's like your mind is trying so hard to rectify that shit by looking for more information. Like, how can I complete this? How can I complete the story and make it make sense? And that's when you start digging and try to research that person a little bit more and try to like find out more about them, or watch their activity online or what have you, because you're so hurt by what they did and you need answers. Does this light suck? That's the window. It's rainy and I don't like it. I'm just gonna close the blinds. I'm sorry. Like, I can't stand it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that light. Okay. So, yeah, your mind is looking for answers in any way that it can get them. And that is going to drive you to dig deep and, research that person and investigate and just like watch their shit, and it's obsessive because you're trying so hard to get answers about what happened. Like, why did you do that to me? Well, I'm going to find out everything about you and just see if I can figure it out, because your brain is begging for the blanks to be filled. It happens. A lot of people do that. I've sure done that, because like I've had people just, backstab me out of nowhere. And it always catches me off guard every time. Well, it used to. These days it probably wouldn't. These days I could probably smell it a little bit sooner. But I mean, I'm just thinking back, the times when I thought somebody was, just wanted to be close to me and wanted to get to know me and wanted to be in my circles and be in my life. And they got all that and then turn around and just buried it in my back, and it just makes you think, what the hell? That's narcissistic. They're so good at playing the part. They're so good at pretending to be a certain way all that time. And then finally, they just like, it's like they can't help it any longer. They just can't stand it. And they'll finally drop the other shoe. They'll drop that final veil. And it's like, oh, so you hated me the whole time. Wow, I didn't know that. Had no damn idea. And then they'll start showing their true colors, because it's like they can't take it. And then the moment you pop up and say, this isn't kosher, they go haywire. They go absolutely haywire. Oh, well, you're just a fucking bitch. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. Go to hell. Blah, blah, blah. You go kill yourself. Blah, blah. And they'll just like unleash the Kraken. You had no idea it was in there, because all this time they pretended to love you. Like, I've had that so many times. So many times. It's not even funny. I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's not funny. But I mean, it's just that feeling of being backstabbed by somebody that you trusted, that you opened up to, and you told things to your life, about your life to, and you thought there was a bond. You thought that was a, like an expressway for love and mutual respect and understanding and compassion. And then it's like one day, they just turn around and you're just like, oh shit, where's this coming from? And you don't want to believe it at first, because that whole time you've invested. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. What is this? What do you mean? And then as soon as you as soon as they realize that you've figured it out finally, after however long, that they just malfunction, like, you know, pouring water into a robot, you know, just like, they just go haywire, you know, it's like they just completely short circuit. And now all of a sudden it's your fault because you whatever the fuck they're gonna say, and and you're confused as shit, and you also know that what they're saying isn't true because this whole time you've been oblivious to the act, and then you know then you have to quit talking, and it's just like, why? So I can see, because you want answers when that shit happens. You want answers, and you want them almost for fucking ever, because especially for somebody, hint, who has a hard time getting close to people because of that, you know, because you can only have your ass handed to you. You can only be made to look stupid so many times. You can only handle that so many times. And then finally one day you say, okay, everybody back up. You know, and it's just, you can only handle looking stupid so many times. And so when that does happen, yeah, you do want to go and find out. You do want to go and check on, because it's like you trying to figure out what the hell happened, because you were fucking hoodwinked, you know, and you were just, they had you blindfolded the entire time. Of course, there's women that do this too. I've had women do this to me who were my so-called friends, but, you know, like I say, usually I'm talking about partners, life partners, but, you know, I know I've had both do that to me. People who were supposed to be my friends, and men who I thought, you know, were gonna stick around. And you know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You know, that's what it is. But it's hard, because you're wanting so bad to just get the damn explanation. You don't even want an apology at that point. You just want them to tell you why they did what they did. Like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? If you hated me from the beginning, then you should have just said that. You should have said that. Instead, you went, you know, 8 months or 2 years or whatever, you know, pretending the whole time. Why did you spend so much energy with it? But the narcissists can do that because they live in a fucking fantasy world. And they live in this fairy world that they've created where whatever they tell themselves, damn it, that is the truth. And fuck you, you know? And it's like, and you can't, and they make you feel like you're going crazy because you're sitting there trying to tell them, okay, that's not even what happened. What you said was blah, 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 and I said blah, 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 blah. And they'll have you convinced, you know, if they're really good at it, like they've done to me, they'll have you convinced that you didn't say what you said, or you didn't see what you saw, or hear what you heard. And that it's totally different, and you've got memory problems. Because, like I say, one of my favorite memories was he went with me to Rite Aid to pick out memory vitamins because I thought my fucking memory was failing me. And I've got very good health. I've excellent health, and that's without yoga and belly dance and all the fucking rest of it. I had excellent health before I was doing that, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with my brain. There's nothing wrong with it. I've had brain scans after fainting and shit like that and all kinds of weird stuff. I've had my nerves checked. There's nothing wrong with me. So I know good and goddamn well there's no reason for my motherfucking ass to be, you know, bebopping up into Rite Aid or fucking Eckerd's or whatever it was at that time, you know, looking for damn Prevagen. I shouldn't have been doing that. But motherfucker, who was allowed to get between my legs whenever he wanted, let me know real quick that I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. And that my memories were false, and the shit that I knew about myself was inaccurate, and he was there to show me the truth about myself and how fucking horrible I was. Oh, and P.S. drop trow. You know, it's like, and that's just how they do. They use you for whatever, you know, you're worth to them, and they just blind you. You know, they fucking blind you. And women friends will do it to you too. You know, obviously they're not going to tell you to take your clothes off, I guess, but you know, they've got all the other ways of taking advantage of you. Women are such good actresses, you know, it's really scary. I don't know why more of them don't, like, you know, well, I guess they can't get into Hollywood because you have to drink blood for that, but so there's a lot of us that are missing out because of because of that. But I mean, so many of us would just be great on the silver screen because we're so fucking good at faking it. And what I don't like is when we do that to each other because we need each other. And it hurts and it's disappointing. So I understand the need to check, the need to know about that person, like what they're up to, because you're so desperate for answers. Sorry to go off track with the story time. It's just like, got me thinking about things, and like, I know how that feels. So, next thing she said was, to do this without forcing bad memories. Yeah. So ultimately, do not worry about checking on that person. And the reason, or like investigating or trying to get more information, through the grapevine or whatever about that person, because the thing is, people might lie about them to you, to mislead you. They are probably lying about half the shit they post. If you're watching them online, they're lying. Because the narcissists, they can't differentiate between what they're telling you and then what you're seeing as a reality, because what you're seeing doesn't matter, and what you think you saw or what you think you know about them doesn't really matter. And what they know reality to be, like, there's a small part of them, I think, that knows that what they're doing is wrong, and that the things that they say are fake, and the things they do are fake. I think there's a small part of their soul that knows that, but because they ignore that, because they would rather just build a certain image, because they're all about image, that's all it is. It's not anything else. And because the information they put out there about themselves is probably not true. When you go and check their whereabouts online, or get information from them through their friends or what have you, that's probably going to be false anyway, so just don't worry about it. If they lied to you that whole time about the two of y'all, and their feelings for you and everything else, if you found out that they were wearing a mask that whole time y'all were involved with each other, they're probably still doing it anyway. They're probably doing it to everybody. So it's not just you. They're doing it. That's how they live. They are absolutely delusional. That's why it's such a hardcore mental problem. And they don't go to therapy, God knows, because there's nothing wrong with them. So, they are just ultra delusional. And they think they can do no wrong, and they're squawking about being perfect and also being the victim at the same time, and lots of other things. I could go on all day about that, about how they, the things they do, but they are absolutely in their own little fantasy world. And anything that comes out of their mouth to them is reality, whether it's actually happened or not. So the shit they put online especially is going to be fake, because they get on there and they'll brag about this and they'll brag about that, and then they'll brag in a way, sometimes they'll even brag in a way that's not supposed to sound like bragging, but for people who don't realize it, they'll congratulate them anyway. Oh, that's so amazing, huh? Yeah, that's cute. It's like a fake. It's like they're trying to sound humble or down to earth, but really they're showing off. I'd have to think of an example to make that clear, but we've all seen it at some point, because there's so many people that are like that. But without forcing bad memories, just don't. It's hard, but this is the part where you have to retrain your brain to just start doing something differently. You just start doing something differently. Hang on, sorry. Just start doing it differently, because this is one, to do this without forcing bad memories. So that's the part of your brain that's wanting to go back and sort that out. Hey, bad memories over here. We got to look at this. And even though that hurts, your brain's trying to fix that. But at the same time, you've got to start focusing on what you can do to cleanse that out. And that's why I like to include the somatics, the healing, somatic stuff, exercising. And you don't have to go to the gym and shit for that. I'm not good at going to the gym. I've done it before, but that's not my forte. I do belly dance, I do Pilates, I do yoga. I do things that are more gentle, I guess, on the body. I would like to go to the gym, but I'd need somebody who was a really good trainer that knew what they were doing. Because I mean, like, I don't know. That's just not my realm. I wouldn't know what to do or how many reps to do and shit like that. So it's like, oh. But somatic things that are good for your body, like eating healthy and any whatever exercise or moving your body that feels good to you. And if you just want, and it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to focus on trying to do an exercise. It doesn't have to be that. If you want to play some music you like and get in your living room and just dance it out, you can do that. You can do that. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to put on a documentary and get in the floor and do some yoga? That's me. Do that. It doesn't have, you don't have to be like sweating it out. You don't necessarily have to do that. That's good because you sweat out toxins, but if you really want to relax, you can take a good salt bath and like wash out the memories and watch the memories go down the drain. We can do it in the shower too. You don't have to wait for the tub to fill up. If you just want to stay in the shower and wash all that shit out, you can do that and just watch the images of the bad memories just swirl around the drain and go down. And you do that. If that's something you like, you do that as many times as you need to make it take hold in your brain. And it will. You just have to keep doing it. The same way that all the other shit kept happening and that took hold. It's just repetition. That's it. That's anything. That's anything. That's why the kids at school, like, when I was in school, my best friend was on, it wasn't, well, they called it Ritalin at the time, but she was on Ritalin and she just made A's after A's after A's after A's on everything. Everything was fucking A's. And I loved her because she was my best friend, but that hurt so bad because I couldn't do that because I wasn't taking anything. And I wasn't interested in what we were doing, and I just thought, oh my God, kind of find out I'm a fucking artist and I'm a somewhat of an amateur linguist. I got to high school and I could finally choose classes that I wanted for at least to some extent. And I chose French and Latin and I excelled exponentially in both. But that was it. I struggled like hell in all the rest of it. So don't, I'm not bragging. It's just like, that was the only reason I graduated probably. Was my A's in my languages, and that was it. The rest I struggled. But, I just had no interest in the math we were doing in school. I had no interest in religion class, and I was failing that because I was in Catholic school, and that didn't help my grade. And, and she was taking that pill every day, and because it helped her focus and more to the point, helped her with her memory, and she was able to study better and do homework better and things like that. And she had more repetition because of that than I did, because I had no foundation. I struggled so bad with that. But she had the repetition and therefore had the better memory and could just spit it back out. And I asked her one time, I said, well, how are you doing this? Because I was so heartbroken. And she said, Miranda, it's just repetition. You just memorize the shit and tell it back to them. That's it. That's all it is. When we get the test, that's all it is. It's all the shit they've already said. And you just memorize what they tell you. And then they try to give you tests and you spit it right back out to them. That is it. And it hurt to know that for her, that was so simple. And for me, it wasn't. I was probably autistic and I just didn't know. I don't know. I've taken tests for ADD and ADHD and I don't have that either. So because I can finish something, so I don't know. I just didn't fucking care. But it was boring and it didn't speak to me. None of that shit spoke to me. And you sit there for hours on end, not being able to play and not being able to experiment, not being able to be artistic. And children are artistic. They're very much in their feminine in the beginning of their life. And then all this other stuff comes in. It's like, oh, well, you need to know how to find the sides of a triangle. I don't give a goddamn about the sides of a triangle. I just don't care. So, that. But what I mean is the repetition. If you had so much repetition with this person to memorize all the bad stuff that happened, because they were so good about repeating it over and over again. It is now up to you to learn how to do repetition for good things, and repetition for cleansings, because people don't realize how important a cleanse is, and how you have to keep doing it. You don't cleanse one time and then you're good to go. You are for a while, but then you got to do it again, because we collect shit. We collect memories. We collect feelings. We collect thoughts. Somebody could say something to you or tell you an awful story, about something horrible that really, sounds awful to you, and it hurts you, and it makes you sad. Whatever. An animal or a baby being abused and dying, or something like that. Something that just really hurts and it sticks in your mind and it bothers you for a long time. You do repetition with that, but you have to cleanse that out. That's got to be cleansed out, and sometimes it's got to be cleansed out 4 or 5 times. But eventually it will. But it's time for you to, when you see that, the bad memories and everything, and now it's time for you to learn how to get rid of that shit. And you repeat that until it's done. These days, on the occasion that I do exercise, I try to do it here and there, but I'm just not good at I can do it for like a few weeks, and then I'll get tired of it, and then I quit doing it. But when I do exercise, I used to cry because I was working out all that shit from my fibers. I was just working it out. And there are times when you're in the middle of exercising and you'll just start crying. And you don't even know why you're crying, you just start doing it, And that is the bad vibes and shit just processing out. It processes out of your cells, out of your body. And it has to get done. And the fact that you're exercising is great, because you're just sweating out the bad memories. You're just burning them away. You get hot when you're exercising. You're burning shit away. You burn out the fat. All kinds of weird stuff gets stored in your fat. All the stuff that your body can't process. That's why when you read the label of something, there's all that shit you can't pronounce that was created in a lab. All those things get stored in your fat. Mine likes to go right here. But all that shit gets stowed away because your body doesn't know what else to do with it. So it just kind of sits there. That's got to get processed out. You do that when you exercise. So all kinds of stuff happens, but your cells hold memory. They just do. And if you can do something to work that out physically, you can work it out mentally, spiritually, psychically as well, emotionally. And you don't have to go to the gym or whatever. You can just go for a walk if you want. There are times my walks are usually like 2 hours when I do go, because I go until I've absolutely had it, and I usually clock out right about at 2 hours is when I've had enough. But a walk is good, especially on a beautiful day outside. Even if it's cloudy, it doesn't matter, but especially when the sun's out, you're feeling good, just moving, and listen to music or listening to something educational or whatever it is that you like, when you're out moving. And you get back, and when you get in the door, especially if you've been outside in the sun for a while, and you get back inside and your eyes have everything looks like it's kind of a blue tint, or maybe like a dark tint somehow, because you've been outside, you know what I'm saying? And you can come in the house and you feel almost maybe a little bit wobbly or lightweight somehow. Do you know what I mean? Well, I don't know. I can be the only person that feels that, but it's I don't know how else to put that. It's like if you've been out in the sun, I think it's the sun that does it. It's not a bad feeling. It's just a slightly otherworldly type feeling. It's like a weird floaty feeling. That is you having released some shit, and you're lighter weight, and you're not being bogged down, and you're not clogged up with all that bullshit. So that's what I do to get rid of the bad memories, is move my body. Or like I say, you can get in the shower and do your cleanse. You can, or every time if you want to start eating healthy, every time you eat or drink something that's healthy for you, you can tell yourself, I'm cleansing out the bad memories with this strawberry or with this banana drink or whatever. There's all kinds of ways to do that. You can watch a good movie that's really uplifting to you and let your eyes look at something that is positive to you, makes you feel good. And you can push out the bad memories and replace it with that. It doesn't matter if it's a movie and it's fake, you know. It just it's if it makes you feel good and it pushes out, you know, the other shit and just cleanses it out of your psyche, then fucking do it. Eventually you'll get it cleansed out. You just gotta keep doing it because other shit will try to take its place, you know, because we live in a, you know, sometimes shitty world. But so there's always gonna be something coming at you that doesn't feel good, right? But you can do that. It just takes repetition. Sorry that took 20 minutes to explain that. Like, I know I get off on stories and shit. To peacefully let go, glean my wisdom, and move on in peace. Okay. So yeah, glean your wisdom. The letting go part, that's not going to come for me. That didn't come until towards the end. You know, like when I really like worked things out and understood myself better, and then in turn understood them better. And then it was after that, it was after I had a deeper understanding of myself and rectified things within myself and made peace with myself, that I was then able to make peace with the situation. So that's more of like an end point. A lot of people will tell you that the road to healing starts with, you know, letting go or whatever, some shit like that. And I disagree. I think that's the last step. Because the final step would be letting go, because then finally you let go when you understand the situation. It's once you understand it that you can say, oh, okay, so I let it happen because I was used to this, and I was used to this kind of behavior, and he was used to doing that kind of behavior, and we just were made for each other, and I let it go a long time because I let it continue because, you know, I was used to that, and due to my upbringing and blah, 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 and he stuck around because I made it easy, and he has some fucking mental problem, and I had no self-respect, and that was it, and, you know, la-di-da. I mean, I have to be real with myself. I have to be real with myself about what was going on in my head, and that was it. And then it's after you figure that out and you just accept it, accept how you were working from your best level. So you don't have to be mean to yourself about it, but just understand that you were blinded by certain things. And that's why you let that shit continue. You're just blinded by it. And he was having a field day because he knew you were, you know, dumb. You weren't dumb, but you just didn't know. You just didn't see what was going on with you. And so therefore other people can jump on that shit. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for looking at yourself and looking at your patterns, you know what I mean? And that it's once you make your peace with that, make your peace with yourself and forgive that part of yourself, that previous version of you. Just like my challenge for February, to get a picture or video of yourself and talk kindly and lovingly to that version of you, because they didn't get that love. They didn't get that talk at that time. They were getting torment. But you can show compassion and forgiveness to that version of you because that was what they needed. And they didn't get it. But you can do that now. You know, so I thought that would be a good thing for February, since everybody's, you know, squawking that Valentine's Day. Well, Valentine's Day. Okay, well, you want to really show some love. Show some love to yourself. Show some love to yourself. You're the only person you're not showing love to. Stop it. You know what I mean? So just consider that. That's my thing. That's just something I came up with. I don't know. I wasn't even trying to. I just kind of did it one night on TikTok, and I was really crying about it. And I was like, this needs to be something that I tell my followers about, and they can do it too. So I'm like, so, but anyway, but yeah, moving on peacefully, that part comes more towards the end. I've seen people who talk about letting it go, who have not let it go, but instead just ignore it. And they think that they're really ascended and enlightened, when in fact they are not. And I learned that I learned that the word for that is spiritual bypassing, which I didn't know, but I know now. My bestie told me about that. She was like, that's spiritual bypassing. And I was like, oh. So anyway, yeah, the letting go, it comes at the end. Glean your wisdom, yes. And move on in peace, yes. That is towards the end as well, because of figuring it out, because like I say, you have to figure yourself out, and you have to forgive yourself, and you have to look at why you let shit happen, and it's because you only knew so much. You only knew so much. That's like a kid in a situation. The kid doesn't always know what's going on. They just know what they can get by with, and what they're familiar with, and things like that. Like daily occurrences like that they know. And they only know certain things. They know that the adult, has to go to a job or something every day, and has to come home and do other stuff, and then they have to go to the kitchen and prepare food if anybody's going to eat, and things like that. So but that's all they know. They're not privy to the rest of it. So that's kind of like you, as an adult, you only know what you know, and unless you think to dig deeper, then you're only going to know so much about yourself. I don't know if that's a good was that even, I don't know if that was, oh well, I've already said it, so I'm not sure if that's a good comparison, but it's like, that's the first thing I thought of. It's sort of like being a child, where you only have so much information, and you trust what you know at that time, is what I was trying to get at. I just don't know if I said all that right, but okay. Sending love and light, I'm assuming, to the person who hurt you. So, okay, my real opinion about that is you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Like, you just don't worry about it. Don't worry, because if we're talking about the narcissist, like I say, that person has a serious mental issue. They have a serious mental issue, and that's why there's no fixing them, and that's why there's no helping them heal and helping them work on themselves. And they may even say that. They don't mean it, because they're trying to say things to make themselves look good so that you'll stick around. But the real and true narcissist who, like, is delusional about what's going on, they need mental help that would have to go so deep that, a girlfriend or a life partner, what have you, would not be able to do that. Unless you've got a degree in psychology, unless you're just really that good, then if you want to go for it, but don't do it for free. Because you're going to be working at that for a long time, because the narcissist is a damn handful. But, they're so deep in their own shit that you trying to train yourself to be compassionate towards them and send them love and light is kind of a waste of your time, in my humble opinion. There's other people who consider themselves real gurus who will tell you different, and that's fine and well. If they want to do that, then fine. But it's just, in my humble ass opinion, don't waste your time, because you're thinking about sending love and light to them, and you need to be sending it to yourself. After the narcissist, the only thing you need to worry about with them and thinking about them is if you have to deal with them legally in court or whatever. Do whatever it is you got to do to prepare for that, because because you know how they operate, and you know what they'll come back with, for defense and things like that. When it comes to that, when it's something you've got to deal with them, then yeah, think about what they're doing. But besides that, when it comes to just you trying to get over it, don't fucking worry about them, because they don't care. They don't care. And there's no point. I know, if you want to be a good person, I admire that. This is to everybody, not just the girl that made this comment. This video is for everybody. But if you want to, be a good person, set a good example, be the love and light, I believe in that. And I believe in you doing that. And I believe in that being within the realm of possibility, that we can get to that point. But for the time being, you just worry about you. You just worry about you, and just worry about what you're doing, and show some love and light to yourself. Once you start showing some love and light to yourself, you'll be able to do it for others, because you'll be able to see others in a more human way. And it can go both ways. Once you start to see yourself in a more human way, you can also see yourself in a more divine way. And I'll probably have to make a separate video for that, because that's like that sounds tricky, but once you get to that point, you'll know what I mean. But you can see others in a more human way / more divine way. I know that sounds weird, but I'll go into detail about that in another thing, and I'll try to make it make sense. But like I say, that comes towards the end. But yeah, the sending love and light. For right now, while you're getting through it, and while you're working it out, and while you're untangling everything, you send the love and light to yourself, and you just worry about you, and just don't dwell on them. Just don't. Well, you gotta start thinking about you, because all this time you've been thinking about them and doing good for them and taking care of them and blah blah blah, fucking whatever. And look what happened. Look where it got you. So for right now, just do the brick wall for your own peace of mind. Do the brick wall, because it's time to look at you. And once you figure yourself out, then you can decide how you feel about them, or how you want to look at them, and the story you want to tell yourself about them. We'll figure that out later. That's towards the end. You know what I mean? So, but that is a good point, because a lot of people struggle with that. Okay, how do I, look at this person with compassion after what they did? Just figure it out later. Because you got to figure out you right now, and why you let that shit happen, and why you let it carry on for so long. And that is the hardest part for me. Okay, so that's the end of her question. Yeah. But that's really good. Yeah. How do I remember the good, not spiral into bad thoughts, not check on them so much, without forcing bad memories, peacefully let it go, glean the wisdom, move on, and send love and light. Yeah. So yeah, I feel that. I feel every word of that. Just realized there's a face in this wood. Do you want to see it? Oh, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. I'll try to get a picture of it later. But anyway, it's... Do you know what it looks like? It looks like the Snapchat filter where the mouth is real big like that, and the voice is high-pitched. It looks like that. But anyway, yeah, that's what it looks like. So, but yeah, that was a really good question. And all those things are hard. But like I say, the things that I've described are things that I've done that help me get through it. And I know I can't be the only person that thinks like me. So that's the whole point I make these videos, is to connect with anyone who is vibing with me. So I hope those things made sense. If you need me to go into detail about something I said, or, you want some more direction with that, let me know. I'll do another video. It's no big deal. Like, I love doing videos. So, because it really, we can get specific on topics and really like push it into perspective. So, anyway, but that was a very good question. Thanks, Sherry, for your input on that, and your activity and your involvement, in the group, especially. You've been great. And you set a really good example too. So, I hope that was clear, and I hope that, was helpful. And, I thank everybody for tuning in and sticking with me, and, believing in my work, and supporting me, through all my work and my goals and everything else. So, yeah, thank you.